Hey girl, hey. Welcome back to the Cherry Lounge podcast, season 2, episode 3. I'm your host, Tanisha Cherry. In today's episode, I am doing a 1 year post Accutane check-in, talking about 5 things I wish I knew beforehand. I woke up like this. I woke up like this. Not flawless, but pretty damn close, and I am totally okay with that. As of today, I am a year and 4 months post Accutane. It honestly feels like my problematic skin was another lifetime ago because I just can't relate to her anymore. You know, waking up and being scared of what is waiting for me in the mirror is the thing of the past. I don't know that girl. Who is she? Why are you over here? We don't know it. If you're not familiar with Accutane, its proper medication name is isotretinoin. I hope that I pronounced that right. And it's a retinoid that works by decreasing the amount of pore clogging oil your body produces even after you stop using it. And one of the major pros, it also addresses acne all over your body, not just on your face. Yes, honey. If you don't know, I was on Accutane for about 8 to 9 months. It was a long 8 to 9 months. My face didn't just clear up overnight. A little history on my skin. Um, what history can I give you guys? Like, honestly, I feel like junior high, high school, my skin was pretty okay. I got the occasional pimple, and I always thought it was a lot worse than it really was. I feel like as a younger kid, we think the world is ending if you get one pimple and that everyone's staring at you awkwardly. And to be honest, they are staring a little bit, but then they don't care after like that first second. It is what it is. You have a pimple on your face, but, I'm not sitting here grossed out envisioning nasty things, right? Anyways, and then, early 20s, I start to get a little bit more. And then I'd say around like 23, 24 ish, I think is the number I love to quote. It really got really bad and I was over it. And I started doing like different treatments. I changed up my skincare routine. I did some chemical peels, some extractions, and it worked. My skin was amazing afterwards. But then that lasted only for a few months. And me maintaining the system I had in place that got me to that point, it just wasn't working anymore. My skin started acting up again, and my face was completely toe up, worse than the first time. And I was at a place where I was just kind of like, oh my God, I'm just going to be the pretty girl with really bad skin. I hate this for myself. Honestly, I hated it. I thought it was something I was going to have to come to terms with. And it was really starting to affect my mental health because, your skin is a part of your image. And it's one thing that your skin looks like that, but it's another thing when people are continuously commenting on your skin as if my acne is a result of, something that I'm doing. People will say, that's happening because you're eating too much makeup. You have too much gravy. It's the food that you're eating. You're not washing your face enough. All kind of stupid thing. And I have a Caribbean background, Jamaican and Trinidadian, and if you're Caribbean, that Caribbean people have no filter. Like they don't care. It's like their life's mission to make sure you have a traumatic childhood of some sort, like that they contribute to that trauma in some way. Honestly, I feel like that. But people always make the comments, like, oh, I don't have bad skin. Like your skin is really bad. Da 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 da. All kind of comments, and that's the part that makes it really depressing. That's what causes severe acne, depression. I feel like it's really like I feel like as the person that has the skin that looks like this, yeah, it takes a toll on you and it starts to affect your confidence. But I feel like it's really the people that are publicly saying things to you, to your face about it, especially when it comes from people that are supposed to be like your family members and friends that care and love you and support you. It's like they just can't move through life without making a comment on your skin to you. And it's annoying because that's not a positive comment. Like, that doesn't make me feel any better. And you saying that, like, I have to look at myself every single day, all day, throughout the day. Do you not think I see this pie section, this volcano on my face? Like, I see it. I don't need you telling me about what you use on your skin. Like, we're two different people. Okay. But yeah, that's my mini rant on that. I'm recording this episode because a lot of people have asked me about Accutane, and a lot of people are apprehensive about trying it, and also a lot of people do try it and they're making all sorts of mistakes and they're panicking because their skin is not waking up the next day after taking 2 pills perfect. So I want to record this episode to basically share my experience because based on all the videos I've watched on YouTube, and I've watched quite a few of them, and they're very exhausting, to be honest. But I feel like maybe I have a unique situation, and or maybe because I'm so much of a skincare enthusiast that I kind of pay attention when my doctor was talking to me and doing my own research and talking to estheticians who have treated people that have acne or who've tried acne themselves, that maybe, I've really retained that knowledge, that I found that some of the videos that I watched weren't that helpful. So I wanted to make this episode to not like pro people into going to Accutane, but letting them know that if they decide to do this, like, you're going to be in good hands and everything's going to be all okay. And here are some, a few things to know beforehand so that you can try and make this the most comfortable 8 or 9 months that you can. First things first, start sooner than later. Again, start Accutane sooner than later, because this medication does not make your scars or your post inflammatory hyperpigmentation go away. Some of the red marks and the brown spots will clear up as your acne clears up, but the scarring will not be affected. So you don't want your skin to get to the worst point possible before you get on Accutane. Like, I have, some hyperpigmentation on my cheeks, and I got that from doing different things to my face to try to cure my acne. And now this is something, now that I am acne free, it is something that I'm now going to have to treat separately through other procedures. So right now I've been doing some chemical peels and some dermaplaning to really target those areas. But if you can start Accutane sooner, before acquiring things like scars and post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, you'll be in a better position when you do start the medication. So start sooner than later. Don't make it be a last result. Honestly, I tell people Accutane should really be a plan B or C. Try changing up your skincare routine first. Maybe try consulting an esthetician. And then if that doesn't work, go on Accutane. And I'm not saying switch your skincare routine for like a month or two. No, give it like a solid, 3 to 4 months. Same thing with an esthetician doing chemical peels and stuff like that. Maybe give it a solid 6 months with their coaching and their guiding. And after doing that, if your skin has not improved or it gets worse, or like me, it improves and then it comes back a few months later and it gets really bad, worse than you started, just go on Accutane. Do it. Don't sit here and make it a longer ordeal than it needs to be. Second thing, it's more accessible than you think. And I'm going to put a big disclaimer on that because I am located in Alberta, Canada. Okay, so this may be different in other places, but here in my city and my experience, Accutane is very accessible and easy to get. Okay, you can get a prescription through your family doctor if they have experience. If not, your family doctor can recommend you to a facility in your city. So for me, my experience was there was my actual family doctor. She happened to go on mat leave, which is kind of annoying because she's on mat leave again now. Anytime I want to try something new and talk to her, this lady is off having a baby. Like, kudos to you, but can you give me a warning next time? Like, just send me an email, sis. But yeah, so my family doctor at the time, she had the experience to go ahead and prescribe Accutane. She has administered it to patients previously, and she has had the experience monitoring them because being on Accutane does require monitoring and blood work and all that jazz, and I'll get into that later. But you want to go to someone that has experience with that. Now, because my family doctor wasn't present, the person that was her substitute, they had the skill set to administer the prescription, but they had never actually done it before and they had never monitored someone. So I had the option that I can still do it through her, but she would put me on the lowest dosage, because she just doesn't have the experience kind of thing. And she doesn't have another doctor in our office that can guide her through that. And I'm never going to be someone's guinea pig. We're just not going to do that. But what she ended up doing is just writing me she ended up recommending me to another facility. So she sent my documents off to another clinical place in the city, and they ended up scheduling an appointment for me, their earliest appointment, at a later date. Okay, so That is for me here in Alberta, Canada. I don't know about other countries if you have to go through a specific dermatologist or you have to go somewhere else outside. But here in Alberta, Canada, in my city of Calgary, you can get it at your family doctor. So it's actually not hard. And the other thing is, I just went into my doctor's office and I was like, look at this. Look at my skin. I've done everything. I've done an esthetician. I have switched up my routine. I am healthy as can be. I drink lots of water. I've tried topical creams, nothing working. All you have to do is ask for it. And if you have a doctor who is pushing you in an opposite direction and you want to go on Accutane, just go to someone else. Point blank, period. Because sometimes these doctors, like, they don't want to be helping you. But that wasn't my experience. She was very for it. And I will say that about my doctor's office and my doctor, or their replacement, I should say, is I don't know if it's just me, but every time I go in there and, I need to have a conversation with them or something or communicate or get a full understanding, our dialogue is always A1. And I always appreciate it because it makes me feel a lot more comfortable, just going to the doctors. It can be worrisome sometimes. And it's nice to know that you have a professional that can support you and walk you through anything. So I appreciate that and shout out to them. Hey loungers, enjoying this episode? Make sure to screenshot and post to your IG stories tagging me to let me know if you've tried Accutane or you're thinking about it. Next thing, book all your follow-up and your blood work appointments up front. So when you're on Accutane, they do like to monitor you every month, so you'll have to go and do blood work. They don't do blood work in my doctor's office, and I'm sure most offices are like that. You have to go to like some sort of like laboratory place that does that, which is fine. There's many of them all over my city. But the place that I was getting my Accutane prescription, it was it wasn't far from where I live, but it was like a 20-minute drive. And this facility was only open Monday to Saturdays, and their Saturdays were always booked up. And their hours during the week, like their last time, I believe was like 4:30. So that cuts into my actual day job that I have because I have one of those. If you didn't know, I do have a 9 to 5. And the location of my 9 to 5 in this doctor's office, it would just be a lot to get there, and I would never make it by closing. So that means I'd have to either like leave work early or whatever the case is. Anyways, if you can, ahead of time on your first appointment, book all your follow-up and your blood work appointments on that visit. Okay. We're all booked and busy, and it can be easy to forget to book your next appointment. It definitely had happened to me a couple times while I was on my 8 or 9 months of Accutane. And this is something you don't want to play with. So book your appointments ahead of time and add them to your calendar on your cell phone. Put a reminder in for the day before or the week before so that you know that this appointment's coming up and to organize yourself accordingly. I good thing for me is I never ended up having a problem, but there were a few times, like for example, on a long weekend, I forgot that I had an appointment on like the Wednesday or the Thursday for for my follow up, and I hadn't done my blood work. And as you know, blood work can take a few days to for the results to come in, so that your doctor can review it. So I always had to do my blood work about 3 to 4 days before my actual appointment, and I had forgot about it being a long weekend. And thank God there was one laboratory place in my city that was open, and I had to like go all the way across town. It was a 40-minute drive, but you got to do what you got to do. But I wouldn't have been in that predicament if I would have just booked all my blood work and my follow-up appointments at the same time. It would have been made life a lot easier, and I wouldn't be panicking, because when you're on Accutane, you can't have any breaks in between your prescriptions. You can't. Okay, if you miss a day, you take that dosage the next day along with your regular. Okay, fine. And take it easy, drink lots of water. But you can't be having major gaps like a week and days on end. No, that's not how it works. Next one. The only products you need are CeraVe. While on Accutane, you need to avoid harsh and drying cleansers that strip the skin of its natural oils, okay? CeraVe is really great for this, and as a bonus, it contains ceramides and hyaluronic acid to add moisture to the skin, which is why I recommend this over Cetaphil, because Cetaphil is that basic girl that doesn't take away from what the medication of Accutane is doing for your skin, but it also doesn't add anything to your skin. There's no added bonus. But with the CeraVe, it does, okay? It doesn't mess with it, but it adds back in that moisture and hydration that you need, especially while on Accutane. So I definitely recommend that product line. And I also recommend it because it's very accessible. You can find it everywhere in any drugstore. And on top of it, it's very affordable, which is a big bonus because you are going to go through these products. So definitely the ointment overnight cream that they have, the gentle hydrating cleanser is good, and the moisturizer with SPF. Okay, so you can really just use the whole product line. I didn't learn about them until probably towards the end of me being on Accutane, which I was really annoyed about because the other products I was using were really good, but they were a little more on the pricey side, and the amount of product in it was very little. So I was having to replenish my moisturizer almost every 2 to 3 weeks, and the moisturizer was like $25. So that gets really pricey if you're on Accutane for 8 or 9 months. Whereas I could have just did the CeraVe, and I probably would have went through only 2 of those bottles over the course of time that I was on Accutane. So those are definitely the products that I would recommend. Your skin is going to be very super sensitive, and a lot of the products, they're going to sting you. Okay, so don't even go that way. And also, a lot of products are very expensive. Like, you don't have to go to Sephora and create a whole new Accutane skincare regimen. Don't be one of those girls out. And the last thing, you'll start seeing improvements toward the end of you being on Accutane, okay? You really have to trust and embrace the process. I've had so many people message me say, like, I'm on month 4 and 5, and I don't see any results. Like, my skin just still looks really bad. And I'm just like, yo, the medication is proven to work in up to 90% of patients, okay? So just let it do its thing and run the full course. Something else that I want to add on to that is I personally recommend people staying on it for 8 or 9 months. All the people that I've known who have had a successful run of Accutane where it has not come back in, years later, were on it around 8 or 9 months. A lot of people who did not have this experience and it did end up coming back to them either a year or two later. I noticed they were part of the gang of people who only did it in, 6 months or less. So yeah, try to be on it as long, not as long as possible, but try to be around it around that 8 or 9 month mark. And I feel like you get the best results. Again, I am not a professional, so take my advice lightly, but this is what I also got told from the doctor that was recommending it, as well as the esthetician that was helping me go through it. My girl, Marie, the skin scientist, shout out to her. But, she's kind of like walking me through everything that I need to know, which I was very happy about because it's nice to have an experienced professional who's been on Accutane kind of tell you how to maneuver with it to get the best results and have the best experience. So, shout out to her. A lot of people are concerned about the toll Accutane can take on your mental and physical health. And I'm no doctor. Again, I'm saying this again. I am no doctor. I read a lot of medical articles before joining Accutane, and I've spoken to several doctors and professionals. And to be honest, I've received conflicting information. I really have. One doctor says this, another says that. My thoughts are that severe acne itself can cause depression. And the best thing to do is to have a complete care plan in place to monitor your mood changes because your mood may change. It can be slightly, it can be severely. You just don't know. It's all based on what your makeup is individually. But for myself, what I did is I told 2 people who I was already in constant contact with to let them know if I'm not acting like myself, please let me know. And just explaining to them some of the symptoms of being on Accutane. And I did notice, I didn't notice, but it was pointed out by my friend that I had was one of my people that I told to, kind of monitor me. He did point out the fact that I was being more irritable around the, I think, 3 or 4 month mark. I was being more irritable and I was kind of being a bit more emotional than I normally am about the smallest things. And it wasn't something I recognized until he pointed it out. And he's just like, I just want to make sure you're good because remember you told me, like, I don't know if you're still on Accutane kind of thing. And I was like, oh shit, maybe that's it. And I truly feel like it was because the stuff that I was getting really irritated and emotional about were the most minuscule thing, you guys. Honestly, it was like the littlest things. Like I remember my mom was supposed to come over or something like that. Or no, it wasn't. I called my mom and I asked her if I wanted to hang out. And she's like, girl, go get some friends. And bro, the way I started like crying for no reason, and my mom was like, "What is wrong with you?" Like these are comments that she makes all the time, so she was completely like shocked. She's like, "What is going on?" So yeah, I definitely had my moment. So what I ended up doing before starting Accutane and maintaining during the course of me being on the medication is I implemented a lot of routines that addressed all of my insecurities before starting Accutane. And they weren't even like severe insecurities. Some of them were things I could possibly be insecure about later while I'm on the medication, and things that, like, maybe were a little bothersome, but I didn't want it to grow into a bigger issue once I started taking the medication because, like you guys, I've heard a lot of things about people becoming very depressed and being suicidal and, all these things that come with it. And I just wasn't sure what was going to happen. So, again, as I said, I implemented a lot of routines that would address these things before starting. And I maintained it throughout, which I'm actually really proud of myself for because shout out to you, girl. So, for example, with my body, I started working out and eating a lot better. And during that process, I just kept telling myself, like, if I ever feel like I'm not looking my best, or my clothes aren't feeling the best or looking the best on me kind of thing, it's okay because I'm already eating healthy. I'm already working out. I know this is a process and nothing that happened overnight, and I'm already in the process of improving that part of myself. This is also when I started incorporating meditation into my life and diving a lot more into my spirituality, which I feel like helped keep me very level headed. So that's how I address the mental health aspect for me being on Accutane. Again, it's different for everybody, but I would definitely tell people incorporate some sort of, plan in there just to make sure everything's on the up and up. That is it for today's episode. I hope you found it helpful for you. If you want to hear more about my Accutane journey, check out my YouTube channel, Tanisha Cherry with an extra Y. The video is titled My Accutane Journey, 4-Step Skincare Routine plus Easy Tips. It's a 40-minute video that covers everything you need to know before, during, and after your Accutane usage more in depth. I didn't want to split it up into different videos or make it a series because I personally hated those videos, you know but I would just want to make one video that someone who was serious could just watch from beginning to end and get everything that they needed. If you're serious about Accutane, you'll watch the whole video, and I promise you, you will walk away with everything you need to know. If there's any questions you have that I have not addressed in today's episode or my YouTube video, send me a DM on Instagram at tanisha.cherry, and I'll get back to you right away. If it's been a while since you send the message and I don't get back to you, just, comment on one of my Instagram photos to check my DM, and I will. But I'm pretty on top of my DMs for now. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. Subscribe to the Cherry Lounge podcast, where you'll find a new episode every Monday at 6 a.m. Mountain Time, 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern. Also, don't forget to leave a review and hit me with a 5-star. I'm out, y'all. Later.